December 28th, 2021, wintertime in southeast Alaska. My primary source of income for the last 40 years almost, I guess, has been flying. And for the last 23, 24 years, I've been flying contract with the Alaska Department of Fish and Game for the Commercial Fisheries Department here in central southeast Alaska. Use the wintertime for downtime for doing maintenance on the airplane, of course. Need to do an annual inspection, go over the airplane, make sure everything is airworthy on it, repair any parts that are broken, and we'll try to analyze anything that may break during the season. So this year I have to change the engine. This will be the second engine change on this airplane since I bought it. But we're not going to do anything with it yet. It's been too cold outside to be working in the hangar, working on the airplane, and I've spent all my time focusing on plowing snow and shoveling snow here lately and just trying to keep things from falling apart here with all the snow and the cold weather we've had. As a pilot, I also have to maintain currency. The first thing you need to do to maintain currency is to be medically fit. And depending on what kind of flying you do, you have to have a flight physical. For commercial flying, general commercial flying, you need a second class flight physical. For an ATP pilot, for example, airline pilots, they have to have a first class flight physical. For commercial flying, I need to have a flight physical every year. For an ATP, you have to have one every 6 months. I had a flight physical in July. I'll have to have another one by the end of July of this coming year, 2022. And of course you have to kind of self-certify that you're medically fit to fly. If you've got a severe cold or some other disease that's come up between flight physicals, you have to ground yourself, and so you have to self-check to make sure you're physically able to fly. Another thing you have to do is flight currency, and to carry passengers you have to have had at least 3 takeoffs and 3 landings within the past 90 days, and if you're going to fly at night, you have to have 3 takeoffs and 3 landings at night within the past 90 days. I don't fly through the winter time, so the first thing I do in the spring is take the airplane out, run through some maneuvers, do some stalls, some steep turns, some other maneuvers in the air to get myself refamiliarized with the airplane, get the rust knocked off, and then do several takeoffs and landings under different conditions before I'll carry anybody in the airplane with me. One of the other requirements is a biennial flight review, and what that entails is you have to go find a flight instructor in an airplane that you're qualified to fly in. You do an hour of ground with the flight instructor and an hour of flight with the flight instructor, and he rides around with you and determines whether you're fit to fly or not. Now, I'm going to need to do that this year. My last biennial was, I believe, in October of 2019, so I'm out of date with that now. We're traveling south in January. We're going to be leaving in a couple weeks to go south for several weeks, and I'll find a flight instructor in an airplane down there. Have him take me for a ride, or take him for a ride, and see if I scare him to death or not. One of the other things that I have to do this year is I have to renew my flight instructor certificate. That has to be done every 2 years. I can do that by taking an online course. The one that I've been doing for the last several years is from American Flyers, and I paid a fee to start with on those, and then it's a lifetime after that, and I can take their course as often as I want to, but of course I'm lazy and I only do it every 2 years. So my flight instructor certificate expires the end of February. It's now near the end of December. I'm going to go ahead and start doing this and stage it out. I'm going to try to get it done before I leave to go south. So this is what it entails. We've got courses, and they have courses on different subjects, and you run through the course, read through the material, and they have courses on different things, and then take a test, and there are stage tests, and then there's a final test at the end. There's a time limit. You have to, I think it's like 15 hours minimum. 16 hours there, it says right on the page. So we have to do at least 16 hours to take all these lessons, and then when I do, then I get a certificate. I can either mail the certificate and my flight instructor certificate into the FAA, or I can do it online here, and I'll probably do it online because it's got to be kind of a hassle. The FAA is in Juneau here, and we can't just walk into the FAA office. Of course, now you can't do that anyway, hardly, without an appointment and all of that stuff. But Anyway, it becomes a hassle, and by paying $20 here, I can get it done online. So now, by taking this flight instructor renewal course, that satisfies the 1 hour of ground instruction that's a requirement for the biannual flight review. Well, anyway, that's what I'm going to do. I've got this set up now. I've rolled in this class again, the new class. I'll start this. I'll work on this for an hour or so a day for the next few days and get it all done. And then I'll have time to go out and do what I need to do outside. I need to get outside and get some work done out there. We've got good weather again today. Forecast to get a bunch of snow again tonight and tomorrow, and then it's going to get clear again, and then it's going to cloud up again and snow again, and ad infinitum. It's wintertime in southeast Alaska. I got my flight instructor certificate in about 1982. Worked a little bit as a flight instructor. I don't give flight instruction up here anymore. It's too complex up here, the weather. Summertime, when we have the daylight hours and the weather to give flight instruction, everybody is busy working. Once you get into the fall where people have time to start flying, then the weather starts getting crappy, and you might have good weather for a few days and you get out and get a little bit of flying done, and then it might be a month or more before you get another weather that's suitable for flying, especially for somebody that's trying to learn to fly. That length of time break in between flights on there, basically you wind up starting all over again. You have to have continuity in your flight training and your practice to become competent. So it extends the time out to an unreasonable length of time. And if somebody bought a plane, had one here, I could give them flight instruction in it, and once they got up to the point where they could solo and start working on their own, then things start happening a little bit faster. But I generally recommend anybody that wants to learn to fly that's from around this area to take a month or two off and go down someplace where the weather's good in the wintertime and just concentrate strictly on learning to fly, get their pilot's license there, and then if they want local knowledge and a little bit of additional instruction once they get it, if they have an airplane available to them, then I'm happy to do it. I've maintained my flight instructor certificate for two reasons. If you let it go, then it's hard to get it back again, and there may be a point in time when I want to give flight instruction. If we leave southeast Alaska, once I'm retired totally, and things like that, if I want to give flight instruction, it's easier to keep it than it is to try to get it back. And the other thing is, there are few flight instructors in this area, and there are quite a few pilots, and the pilots that don't get currency checks by the FAA, just an ordinary private pilot or commercial pilot that's not going through those checks, they have to have a biannual flight review, and I give biannual flight reviews to people in the area that want it. I'm down to one or two people. I haven't hardly given any biannual flight reviews for years, so there's not a heck of a lot of reason for me to keep my flight instructor certificate, except that I may want to do more of that sometime in the future. Anyway, that's why we're doing this. I'll get my flight instructor certificate renewed, and then I won't have to worry about it.